Around $50,000 yesterday after the Celtics forward accused officials of having, quote, an agenda against him during Boston's 7-game first-round loss to the 76ers. The former Finals MVP raised eyebrows with his live stream comments, calling the season, quote, the most fun and his favorite of his career, a notable stance given he was without his co-star, Jason Tatum, for much of the year, and the Celtics were ultimately bounced in the first round. Well, then Tracy McGrady, the NBA legend and NBC sports analyst who shares a close relationship with Brown, weighed in on the situation yesterday.
This frustration lies deeply within the organization and other things that,
of course,
we don't really have details to. There's just been a lot of stuff, that I've been hearing just going on with the Boston organization, with JB, so I think part of him is like, I showed you guys more of who I am as a basketball player, not only just, what I did on the basketball court, but the leadership that I displayed within, this team. And you've seen that, not having our, best player in JT.
Meanwhile, this morning, head of basketball operations, Brad Stevens, addressed what McGrady had to say about Jaylen Brown. Listen to this.
I talked to Jaylen Monday a little bit after he just real quickly and was nothing but positive. He has not expressed those frustrations to me. We've been here 10 years together, and I do think that, obviously I love JB and everybody around here loves JB. And, I think just like any of our other guys, as we get to the end of the season, I'll be here and my door's always open.
Okay. So Brad Stevens clarifying a little bit. Obviously, you heard what T-Mac had to say. We heard Jaylen Brown on his live stream. Stephen A., what do you make of all of this?
First of all, a couple of things. When Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady speak, we should listen.
Absolutely.
Two great guys, two great basketball players, and Doggy, they're honest brokers. They don't lie. They ain't two-faced. They ain't phony. They're doing a great job, covering the NBA. But more importantly, anybody that's covered the game, they're good people. And they know what the hell they're talking about. And Vince is more kind, in his delivery and his presentation. Tracy McGrady is more fearlessly in your face. But when both speak, you need to listen. They bring tremendous credibility. And I know that. And if Tracy McGrady says that about Jaylen Brown's comments, you damn well better listen, because he knows what he's talking about. So let's get that out the way first. Keep up the great work, fellas. Keep doing y'all thing. Secondly, when it comes to Brad Stevens, respectfully, here's what I don't care about with the organization. And I'm a fan of Brad Stevens. I know he didn't win the championship. He didn't get him to the finals. But, damn it, he coached them to several berths to the Eastern Conference Finals. The man can coach. And I think he's been a hell of an executive for the Boston Celtics. I'm a fan of Brad Stevens. But I don't particularly want to hear, because here's the thing that I would say to people. If it was completely, totally true what Jaylen Brown was saying, would you tell us? No, you wouldn't. You'd keep it to yourself. So guess what? I don't give a damn what he has to say about the. You ain't gonna tell us if it was true. You understand? So you saying that you implying that it's false means nothing to me.
Correct.
Absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Jaylen Brown, Doggy, is smart. He's an all-world player. He went out there and he proved himself this year and deserved all the credit in the world. But you snatched it away from yourself because you gave up a 3-1 lead. You lost to the Philadelphia 76ers, a Boston Celtics team that has never, a franchise that never gave up a 3-1 league in the postseason, did it for the first time on your watch, okay? You got to own that. And instead of owning it, the first thing that came out of his mouth is that he was complaining about officiating and he was complaining about flopping. No, it's a bad look. He might have some argument. You know how I felt about him getting ejected from that San Antonio game. I thought that was the beginning of the end of his MVP run, and I thought he was robbed of that, and it really ticked me off that the official would do that to him. And he's right when he says that sometimes that unfavorable treatment comes in his way for a variety of reasons, because I told y'all before, he's not liked by some of these people, and it's not fair to Jaylen Brown. But he did not help himself at all by losing a 3-1 lead as a Boston Celtic and coming out of your mouth, and the first word out of your mouth is flopping and officiating. And then you do another video, you do in the same video, what do? You talk about how this is your best, you had the best time this year. This was a better season than the year you won a championship. Why? All of a sudden, that's about you. That's not about the Celtics. That's not about your teammates. It's certainly not about Jason Tatum. And if it was about Jason Tatum, it was about Jason Tatum having to sit down so you could elevate your shine. And as Doggy would say, that's at the expense of the team. I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown feels this way. I'm saying his words came across that way. He's responsible for what he projects. That's what he projected. That's what people are saying about him right now. And that's what he's going to have to live with all off season, because nobody's going to forget that he said that.
Two big decisions are coming right here, and this will be way more important than words. Here come some actions. Number one, the Celtics have to decide whether they are moving forward with these guys and this style of play. They've been together for years, as Brad Stevens said. They got to decide if they're going to keep shooting 60% of their shots as threes, that this is the way they want to play. And here's where the decision comes, guys. In July, they get to offer Jaylen Brown a contract extension, $70 million a year. Now, he has earned it. He just had his best season. That's not what I'm saying here. But once you sign him to that contract extension, you're locked in. In the current NBA, no matter what anybody says, when you got a guy on a long-term deal, they don't want to trade for him.
That's right.
You just got to accept my words here. You might want to argue with me.
Fact.
But now I got to move on.
Fact.
Now I got to move on to the second decision, and that's Jaylen Brown's decision. Does Jaylen Brown want to sign that contract extension with the Celtics? Because if we're going to pay attention to these words and what he's talked about, and he has discussed how he thinks he's underappreciated, and I don't disagree. He is underappreciated in some ways. I also point out he's got $300 million contract and a Finals MVP. He is not underrated, but he may be underappreciated.
Not by the Celtics. By the fans.
For sure.
You're right.
So that's a big decision. When we get to August 1st, because it's, I think, around the end of July, that's got to be decided. If Jaylen Brown has taken that contract, and Stephen A., it's $70 million a year. No. Okay? If he's taken that contract, we'll see you in September. Okay? But if the Celtics have pause about this alignment, or if Jaylen Brown has pause about whether he wants to continue in this alignment, and that contract extension isn't happening, then we have something. And I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to wait and watch.
Yeah, I think the Celtics will offer the contract, and I think he's going to sign it. So, I mean, that's just me. He was frustrated. When you get on a microphone 12 hours after you lost a horrific series, it's dangerous. You got to edit yourself. And Brown didn't edit himself. What he said about the officials was a disgrace. Boy, if you're an official who obviously has been refereeing 25, 30 years, because you're doing Game 7 of a first-round playoff series, so you got experience, and you say that they have no integrity, which is what he said. That is despicable. You can't say that. And then the Celtics, who were 32-0. 32-0 with a 3-1 lead in the series. And by the way, McGrady blew a 3-1 series lead, too, when he was on Orlando to Detroit. Did they talk about that? About how to handle blowing 3-1 lead?
Tracy did talk about that yesterday.
Because he blew a 3-1.
He didn't have Grant Hill.
He blew a 3-1 series lead against the Pistons. Let's not forget that. And he did not play well. And that was Doc Rivers' team. But the bottom line is with Jaylen Brown, when you're the Boston Celtics, all right, and you lose a 3-1 lead to a team like Philly, when you won 57 games, nobody cares about the regular season. Okay, all they care about in Boston are the banners. Nobody cares about your 57 wins and how great a year you had and this, that, and the other. It's about what you did in these 7 games, and he didn't get the job done. And then he's blaming the officials. I'm down on him, but at the end of the day, I think Brian agrees, so does Stevie. I think both of them will reach a kumbaya, and it'll be a Celtic.
Okay, I just want to point out one thing about Brad Stevens, because Brad Stevens has endured a lot of noise since he's been there in Boston, right? Like, Joe Mazzulla should go. We should split up Tatum and Brown. You shouldn't extend one or the other. He ended up paying both of them. It's gone on and on and on. Never once has he steered away from his plan. They have stuck to their guns. They have never once listened to the outside noise. And I actually believe Brad Stevens, my door is open. So if Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be in Boston, from where I sit, he's going to have to go straight up to Brad Stevens and say, I want out. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. Stephen A., go ahead.
Okay, here's the deal. Jaylen Brown, I think, has been into 7 conference finals.
6 or 7.
6 or 7, and I think it's 7, and I think Jason Tatum has been in 6. Neither are 30 years old.
Correct.
Neither. I mean, think about it. And so because of that, you know they have a lengthy future, and there's nothing wrong with investing in them as talent.
Correct.
The issue is the amount of dollars and how it handicaps you from building the team around them, okay? And that's where Brad Stevens comes in. If you're Jaylen Brown, here's what's dangerous about what came out of his mouth. The fact that he said what he said, and I'm going to trust that Tracy McGrady has heard.
I'm trusting.
And knows something. I'm telling you, Joggy, don't doubt Tracy McGrady now.
I agree.
Don't doubt him. Trust me, he knows something, okay? The fact is this. When you say you got a problem within the organization, why would you have a problem within the organization? There can only be one reason. And that one reason has to be that no matter what, as long as Jason Tatum is healthy, he's going to be number one. He's going to be numero uno, period. That's the only thing that Jaylen Brown could have been alluding to. He's got a 5-year, $304 million contract he's operating under. He's in position to get an extension where he would get up to $70 million a year. The money ain't the issue. The faith that the organization has in him is not the issue. It's just that no matter what he seems to do, they're going to put Jason Tatum. And by the way, Jason Tatum didn't make a case against himself. He made a case for himself because despite struggling from three-point range or what have you, there was like a 7 or 8 game stretch before Jason Tatum got hurt where he was like averaging like 25 and 10. You understand? 25, 10, and 7 or something along those lines. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But the brother was, despite struggling with his shooting, he was still showing you there was a multitude of things to his game that he brought to the table far away from 100%. So as far as I'm concerned, Jason Tatum made an even stronger case for the basketball player that he is. And here's the last part. And it's not me. It's not me. It's a lot of Madison Avenue shoe deals, endorsement deals that don't come his way. Jason Tatum is considerably more liked. I'm talking about by corporate folks. He is considered, look at the commercials. Look at the endorsements. Look at all of that. Jason Tatum, compared to Jaylen Brown, they ain't even in the same stratosphere.
And the Olympic team, shoe deal.
It's just the truth. And that's what Jaylen Brown can't get around. He cannot get around that because Jason Tatum is beloved. Beloved. Class personified. I don't know anybody that dislikes Jason Tatum. Nobody. He's just that kind of guy. And that's just the way it is, y'all. I love Jaylen Brown. Love him. But it's gotten away as his business. His personality in their eyes gotten away as his business.
Jaylen Brown has made 6 Eastern Conference Finals appearances, whereas Jason Tatum has made 5 Eastern Conference appearances. Coming up here on First Take, Joel Embiid scored 14 points. He grabbed 4 boards in the Sixers' Game 1 loss against the Knicks. You'll be surprised at who thinks that Philly big man should be given